With its gorgeous animation style and unique world, Boti Byteland promised a lot, but it left us with mixed feelings. So stick around as we take you on a roller coaster ride through the highs and lows of this unique gaming experience.
From the very beginning, Boti plops you right into an incredibly colorful world, surrounded by the digital assets found only in computers. From hopping across disks to collecting data, the game does a fantastic job of immersing you in the world that is Byteland. This digital theme stands out well, though it doesn't quite live up to games like Astro's Playroom or Sackboy Big Adventure.
This digital world sets the stage for the entirety of the game. You and possibly one friend will spend your roughly 8-hour journey here with the goal of defeating and cleaning up viruses, bugs, and glitches, while also striving to find and rescue a missing bot.
But while the theme and animation of the game were fantastic, we found the first few hours to be somewhat lackluster. It felt like ages before we ran across the first enemy to fight, and none of the platforming felt interesting enough to keep us engaged. On top of that, the visuals and world felt a little overcluttered.
We felt a little purposeless while we played through the beginning levels. They felt almost oversaturated with too much going on in the beginning. Everything looked the same, and it was hard to get a good feel of the map and what was where. In short, there was too many areas to go to, too many things to collect, and way too many colors.
These problems from the beginning of the game improved slightly as we progressed through and entered new areas where the colors were toned down a little, random shoot-off areas became less frequent, and platforming became more challenging with disappearing platforms, wires to cross, and crackling electricity to avoid.
Like any 3D platformer, this game has your staple movements, from double jumping, hovering, and dashing, to ground pounds and swinging attacks. We didn't get anything new until level 3 introduced new magnetic powers that let you push and pull things. At first, this is used mainly for pushing blocks and platforms around, before eventually introducing a couple more entertaining elements, such as being able to swing through the sky, and a springboard type thing that lets you launch from one to another to another.
But while many of the features feel generic, the highlights of the game were the musical slides. These will have you attempting to hit the proper notes Guitar Hero style with your body, while sliding down and trying to not get fried by stray electrical wires or fall off a deteriorated edge. Similarly to these slides, the introduction of a bumper car like hovercraft used to cross poisonous rivers or ride along broken racetracks was also quite an enjoyable experience.
The fighting in the game is incredibly minimalistic, consisting of the ground pounds and pressing the attack button 3 or 4 times before eventually defeating the enemy or dodging out of the way as they explode.
There were occasionally boss fights in the game that added a nice little break from the platforming, but the puzzles to defeat them were never too complex and felt a little simple.
There are a ton of different collectibles that can be used to expand little islands in the hub or upgrade some of Boti's stats. But there are so many collectibles scattered throughout each level that it was hard to feel rewarded for collecting them, especially as we did not even realize their use until we beat the game, since there was never any reason to return to the hub world. The only collectible I really cared about was this cool costume that made me look like a wind-up toy.
The last few levels of the game actually gave us more purpose in going in each direction than just a few silly collectibles. We had a puzzle to solve in multiple directions. Earlier in the game, we saw this occasionally with 2 buttons, but they were never very far apart. And it would have been nice to see them put a little more purpose into the splitting of directions at the beginning of the game, like they did towards the end.
This does not really feel like a co-op game, but rather a solo game with co-op tacked on. We were hardly ever together in the same place, since there were so many different directions to go, and the split screen caused us to wander off whichever way. Don't get me wrong, split screen in a 3D platformer is almost essential, but there was very little that drove us to be together at all, other than the occasional infrequent point where we both needed to be scanned or turn in chips we had collected.
Honestly, it feels a little odd to say, but I kind of wish that the game had forced us to stay together a little bit more. This would have helped make the game feel like more of a cooperative experience and prevented us from accidentally exploring areas where the other had already been.
Though it is good to note that we only played the first 3 levels and last 2 levels of the game in co-op, and the rest was solo.
The two little companion robots you have are cute and funny to have around about 20% of the time, but their constant jibber jabbering was annoying the other 80%.
All in all, there is nothing to set Boti apart from other 3D platformers, much less above some of our favorites. The art style is fantastic and the atmosphere is great, but the gameplay leaves some innovation to be desired.
Click on this playlist to find out about all the other new multiplayer games that you need to know about. We are constantly scouring the internet to find all of the best looking games and keep you updated. So we'll see you over there. We love you guys.
Y'all are awesome.